Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back here to the launch pad, or good morning or afternoon, depending where you're joining us from. Welcome to our live launch attempt coverage of the Astra 3 rocket out of Kodiak, Alaska. This is night two. Last night, if you were with us, thanks for bearing with us there. It was a long stream as we awaited a possible launch attempt, and ultimately it ended in a scrub. Not much is known about why, but we'll dive into a little bit that we do know from Chris Kemp, the CEO of Astra, in just a moment. But as always, as we get started, let us know in the chat where you're tuning in from. We love seeing where everyone is from. If you're new, welcome here to the Launchpad. My name's Zach. I'm the host here, and it's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow, and we believe that space is better together. So we invite you to be super active in the chat. Hit that subscribe button if you're new. Consider joining our Discord as well. There's some people I'm sure are going to be hanging out in live comms this evening, and I'll be jumping in and out of there a little bit as well. Tonight, we do want to say thank you to NASA Spaceflight and Astra Space Inc. for providing the footage for tonight's broadcast. So anytime you see the rocket on your screen, that's from them. So definitely make sure you check them out over on Twitter and YouTube. If you're new to the Launchpad, we cover all things space, so full launch coverage, star-based testing coverage, space news updates, and exclusive interviews. And we're super excited for a brand new show to be launching right here on our channel in just a couple of weeks, and lots of announcements about that coming out soon. But we're glad to be getting ready to launch that here. Tonight, you're joining us, as I said, for the launch of the Astra rocket, Astra 3, launching out of Kodiak, Alaska. This is the second demo mission for the Space Force. The first one, as we all know, went so well, where it launched up and then went wee to the side and then took off for its mission. We're waiting for NASA Spaceflight to begin their live view feed, and then we'll listen in for a status update. At this time, we should be sitting at T-minus 60 minutes and counting, but we will wait to hear a total update on that. The one little update that we do have from last evening was directly from Chris Kemp, saying the team is diligently working through the issues related to the freezing conditions up in Kodiak tonight, but we ran out of time and we will try again. That was the one update that we did hear. From my interpretation, based on the fact that he tweeted that in response to a static fire test where we see the water deluge, I'm wondering if they had something to do with freezing with the water deluge, but we'll just have to wait and see. NASA Spaceflight's getting ready here, so we'll pull that up right away so you guys can see any updates directly from their feed, and we'll listen into their mission control as well. If you have questions, you can send those anytime in the chat. Just tag us at the Launchpad, and we'll be answering that as we count down the next 60 minutes or so until a hopeful launch of Astra 3. But let's listen in for any updates.
Vehicle 0007 on the pad at the Pacific Spaceport Complex in Kodiak Island, Alaska. Astra is currently at T-minus 42 minutes and counting, and we are anticipating a hold at T-minus 30 minutes for propellant load operations to complete. So we are coming to you live now from Astra's headquarters in Alameda, California. My name is Thomas Burkhart, News Director for NASA Spaceflight. I'm joined by Carolina Grossman, the Director of Product Management at Astra. Carolina, thanks for bringing it on tonight.
Thank you. Very excited to be here for our next launch attempt.
Astra and NASA Spaceflight are partnering once again to bring you this live stream, so thanks to Astra for covering some expenses involved in making that happen. Also, as usual, we will be taking your questions from chat, so if you have a question about today's launch, please tag us with @NASA Spaceflight. We're going to bring in those, as many of those as we can, and answer as many as we can over the course of the broadcast. If you were with us last night, you saw that there was a launch attempt that was scrubbed late in the countdown, and we have some more information about that. Carolina, what went on last night?
Yes, so if you were with us last night, we had a scrub at T-minus roughly 12 minutes before our T0 time. And unfortunately, last night was very, very cold in Kodiak. It was -8 degrees Celsius or 18 degrees Fahrenheit. And even though over the last couple weeks, as we've been testing our system up in Kodiak, we've learned how to mitigate a lot of the weather issues that we've encountered in these extraordinarily cold conditions. However, last night we did find some frozen moisture in our igniter system that we were unable to clear in time for our planned T0 time. So the team today has reviewed the system and implemented a few mitigations that we believe have resolved the issue. And so far, this evening, the system appears to be working nominally.
Sounds good. Hoping for a smooth countdown and hopefully a launch today. Again, we're expecting a hold at T-minus 30 minutes, which is why that countdown clock is already at T-minus 40, but we're expecting a little bit of a delay later in the countdown, but hoping that will go smoothly and we'll get to a launch sooner rather than later. Carolina, where are we in the countdown right now?
Sure. So as you can see on your screen, you can see that middle portion of the rocket. That's the first stage. Liquid oxygen tank is filling up. It's indicated by the icy condensation starting to form around it, and so we'll continue with our propellant loading operations. Otherwise, we're keeping an eye on the winds tonight, as usual. However, the conditions do look good for our flight tonight.
Sounds good. Again, please bring your questions in the chat. We'll start bringing those in just a second. I want to look back just a couple days because we haven't shown this yet. We have some video of the static fire test, which precedes the launch attempt, happened just a few days ago in Kodiak Island. Let's take a look.
On the left of your screen is showing the static fire test, and on the right is a live view for T-minus 39 minutes, 10 seconds, and counting. It's a good sounding rocket.
So we saw there the water deluge, everything, and the engines tonight. Can you tell me exactly what's all the test objectives for a static fire test?
Sure. So the static fire is essentially our last real full dress rehearsal of the system to make sure everything is working exactly like it will on launch day. The main difference that you see between a static fire test and a launch attempt is that we don't let the engines go. So during a static fire test, we load our propellants exactly as we intend to on launch day. We ignite the engines, we run them for a few seconds to make sure that everything is working fine, and then once we have confirmed that we've obtained the necessary data, then we shut off the engines. And so that test happened earlier this week, and within really a matter of hours, the team was able to reset and prepare for tonight's launch attempt.
And there was something unique about this particular launch campaign in that it happened in Alaska, because that is a little bit different from how it's been done in the past, right?
Yes, that's right. So usually we will complete this static fire test closer to our headquarters here in Alameda. We perform the test out in the Central California Valley, a couple hours from our headquarters. But this time we decided to perform the test up at our launch site, and so we're very grateful for the partnership of the Pacific Spaceport Complex Alaska and the Alaska Aerospace Corporation in working with us to allow us to test in more launch-like conditions, which has been very helpful since these are really cold temperatures that we've been seeing, and over the last couple weeks of working towards our static fire test, we've gotten to learn a lot and iterate very quickly in order to get to this point.
Has that also changed simply since the last launch, which of course was also in Kodiak, but wasn't in November? Is there a big difference there too?
Right. So our last launch was in August with warmer temperatures, and then prior to that we had launched in December of last year with our Rocket 3.2. And those launches both occurred during the daytime. So even though in the December conditions in Kodiak can also be very cold, these nighttime conditions are some of the coldest that we've experienced with our system to date.
Gotcha. All right.
And if you're just joining us, welcome to our live launch coverage of Astra 3's the Astra 3 rocket by Astra. Again, thanks so much to NASA Spaceflight and Astra Space for the footage here this evening. Currently, we're sitting at T-minus 36 minutes and counting. There will be a built-in hold at T-minus 30 minutes, and that will be expected here in just a few minutes to begin. Propellant load began at T-minus 45 minutes. That's why you can see the rocket on your screen getting a bit more frosty there. T-minus 20 minutes and counting is when propellant load will be completed. Now, obviously, if there's this hold, they may complete that propellant loading during it. Terminal count will have a go-no-go at T-minus 15 minutes, along with a water deluge system test. And then we'll see ignition at T0, and we'll go through the launch stages when we get closer to that, as it's looking that we may actually get there. If you're just joining us, take a moment, let us know in the chat where you're tuning in from. If you're new, take a moment and subscribe as well. and we're going to answer some of your guys' questions coming up. Big question many are asking, what happened during the launch attempt yesterday. We heard an update there from it, and that's exactly what I said at the beginning of the show, that we thought was that they had some issues with the freezing weather. Now, they said the ignition system, which could be any part of the water deluge, or the actual igniters, or the fuel pumps, or anything. I have a feeling it's the water system, just because it's water. It freezes pretty easily. Was -8 there as well. So, I mean, for us Canadians and live in the north, not that cold, but definitely cold enough that it caused some issues. They weren't able to have enough time to solve those issues and move into a launch attempt last night within their launch window. So they're going for another attempt here today. Hopefully everything progresses well. Today is the second of 2 demo test flights for the U.S. Space Force with Astra. Their first one occurred back in August. We all know how that one went. On board today is a mass simulator, which we may get a view of on screen in just a little bit here, that will not be deployed. Instead of deploying it, they will have 2 green lights activate, simulating that there would have been payload deployment. That way they're not creating any extra junk, and they'll be able to deorbit that and bring it home. This is the 4th orbital launch attempt for Astra, and the 5th variant of the Astra 3 rocket. So the Astra 1 and 2 never had successful orbital flights. Now they're on to Astra 3, or Rocket 3, and this is the 4th one, but the 5th one that they've ever built. Well, the first one had issues during the testing campaign on the pad. As we said, they're launching out of Kodiak, Alaska, up in the south central part of Alaska. We'll pull that up on your screen here in just a moment. Launching on Launch Pad 3B of the Pacific Spaceport Complex. And they're going to be launching into a 500-kilometer low Earth orbit at an inclination of 86 degrees. Astra is not a reusable rocket, but they want it to be a reliable and frequent use rocket, as their dream by the end of the decade is to see 1 Astra launch every day. So they got quite a ways to go for that, but we do hope they can achieve some of that goal. Last week, we did have confirmation that Astra has contracted and will be launching from Slick 46 down at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station as well. So they are already adding to their launch complex for when they hope to be going full commercial here in the near future. This is technically their 2nd commercial flight. They do have a paying customer on board, as it's a demo flight for the Space Force. But it's great to have all of you here this evening. Kevin asking, what is the mission objectives for Astra? Kevin Wise. They haven't gone into all of it, but they want to have a reliable, affordable small sat launcher. The average cost of a launch right now for an Astra is about $2.5 million US, compared to Rocket Lab, which it can carry a similar payload at $7.5 million. So they could definitely be a big competitor there. Also, Rocket Lab so far has only launched from New Zealand. So having another U.S. rocket on U.S. soil could be a great opportunity to open a market there for U.S. launch companies before Rocket Lab gets set up and operational at Wallops. Scrubs are better than runs, but they do technically count as a partial failure of that day. So we do hope that we don't see any of those here this evening. Expecting that hold to come up here in just under 2 minutes, sitting at T-minus 30 minutes and holding. We'll listen into the mission comms at that point to hear any updates. The Rocket 3 is a pretty small rocket in itself, with a height of just 43 feet or 13.1 meters, diameter of 1.32 meters or 4.3 feet, and it's able to go up into a 500-kilometer sun-synchronous orbit, bringing it to a same class, as we were saying, as the Rocket Lab launcher there. A little bit about their launch service here. We'll pull up their orbital map of what they're able to actually launch into while we await some more information with that hold coming into place here in the next little bit. But here is this is officially from Astra on their capabilities of launching payloads up to 500 kilograms into a 500-kilometer orbit, but depending on the inclination that they launch into, that is ultimately what will affect that final altitude in height there and weight. So definitely some flexibility of what the Astra rocket can do. It is a smaller rocket, but they hope to be launching these here from lots of spaceports around America and possibly internationally in the near future. Because of its size, it is able to fit into a normal sea can, making it able to be portable and delivered to different launch sites and just have to have their ground support team. They currently have plans that they could launch it from any spaceport if they have about a week to bring in all their equipment, go through their pad setup, testing, a static fire test, and then to launch. So trying to bring rockets to more spaceports around the world without needing massive development. Kyle, I wish I was paid $2.5 million instead of having these scrubbed rockets. Yeah, $2.5 million would be nice. Joe bringing up spin launch, that their goal is to handle 100 kilograms. This can handle 300 kilograms, but this current rocket has 50 kilograms, correct. Yeah, so the payload simulator, wow, on board is estimated about 50 kilograms for this flight. You're just joining us, though. Welcome here. We're coming up T-minus 30 minutes in holding until liftoff of the Astra rocket. This is a planned-in hold. We're going to take a moment, listen into comms here when we see that mission control for hopefully an update on that hold as they are preparing for that liftoff. So currently sitting T-minus 30 minutes and holding. We're going to take a moment and take a look at the weather conditions, as that was what affected us yesterday there, the winds and the temperatures. A little bit windier, there's a refresh there, a little bit windier of an evening with sustained winds ranging from 9 to 19 miles per hour, gusting up to about 25 miles per hour there. The current temperature, 28 degrees Fahrenheit or -2, so a little bit warmer than we saw when they actually went for their launch attempt last night, but that temperature we will watch will be dropping through the evening. You can also see on that bottom there the wind directions for where they will be having the opposite of that launch attempt, as they'll be launching to the southeast along the coastline. If you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat, and we'll be answering those live as the evening continues on. So we'll be able to see how this evening's launch goes. We'll pull up the live radar, see how things are going. We do know that there is a winter storm warning going into effect for Kodiak, and that'll be greatly affecting them starting tomorrow. So if we don't see any launch here this evening, we most likely will see a multi-day delay based on how some of the weather is going. Taking a look at where Kodiak is on the map, still sitting at T-minus 30 minutes and holding. Here is the city of Kodiak. And if we zoom out here, they're going to be launching into a 70-degree inclination, which is about this direction, as it will follow along here, the coastline. So my cursor is Kodiak. That gives you an idea of where they're launching. And they're going to be launching straight over this. So there's definitely some weather there. This weather coming in to kind of the northwest area there, into the kind of edge of North America, but they're going to be launching over that. So they'll definitely be watching the weather closely, as this is a test flight for the Space Force. Virginia saying a cute little rocket. It is a very small rocket, and it has a great opportunity for some small CubeSat launches and definitely some military options as well. Andrew, C-can, shipping container. They call them C-cans. Michael, if there is a storm delay, will they move the rocket off of the pad? It's a great question, Michael. I believe at this point they probably wouldn't, based on what the storm is. I'll pull up what the winter storm warning is right now, and we'll have an update. This is from NOAA. Officially here, this was put out earlier today. They're expecting heavy snowfall, so 5 to 8 inches with winds gusting up to 55 miles per hour with falling and very windy blizzard-like conditions for Kodiak, and this is through Saturday and Sunday. So just this weekend that they're expecting. Biggest thing, obviously, in there would be the winds and then the heavy snow. Is it a wet snow or a dry snow? For those that haven't experienced snow, there is a major difference. Wet snow is your favorite snow for making snowballs, but it's also the snow that ultimately is the one that causes roofs to cave in and different things if there's enough of it. Your dry snow is like your powder snow, which is what you want a nice fresh layer of when you're skiing or snowboarding, and it's easy to just blow off of your car and roofs. So depending on how those conditions are, ultimately with the wind, would be great conditions that they're not too favorable from, but that is from the NOAA organization, as we are still remaining at T-minus 30 minutes and holding. Heather, what do they do with the fuel they had loaded before the scrub? Great question there. I don't believe we have been given a direct answer on that, like we have with some of the other space companies. Obviously, they should be able to recover some of it. There can be always some loss, but we don't have a direct answer on that. But thanks for that. Drex, definitely in the future they will have different rockets, like small rockets for small payloads and large rockets for big payloads. Absolutely. They're on your screen showing where they're going to be launching there. So we showed that was just right over that weather system to the pretty much almost straight south out of Kodiak. We'll take a listen in, see if there's any updates on the hold, but stay with us right here on the launch pad for the launch of Astra 3 from Kodiak, Alaska.
Public safety, and that's very common. The next question, are there any advantages to launching at night?
Yeah, so the choice of our launch window is really determined by working with the FAA and make sure that we're minimizing the impact to air travel and marine traffic. So due to Kodiak's proximity to Anchorage, Alaska, which is a very, very busy airport, and our upcoming busy holiday season for shipping, the night window was determined to be the option that we had for this mission. Some other reasons for the choice of a launch window may be due to the specific objectives of the satellite, or the precise orbit where the payload is seeking relative to the position of other satellites already in orbit, and of course being able to avoid other objects on orbit, such as the International Space Station. Actually, in this case, one advantage of launching at night is you actually get a really great view on a clear night. I think the rocket plume and the makes a beautiful and very visible streak across the sky. So hopefully folks who are within range of that trajectory to be able to see it visually will have a great view this evening.
Yeah, I do have one question from Jetty from Mason asking if it would be visible from North Carolina. Probably too far away there, right?
That's probably a little too far, although you'll get a great view from watching our live stream.
That's true. That's the best view, right?
Front row seat.
Gotcha. In the meantime, again, if you have more questions, please tag us with @NASA Spaceflight in chat. We're going to keep bringing those in over the course of the broadcast. We also have some other cool stuff to show you. We actually have a little bit more from our NSF factory tour to show out, some bits about how they weld this rocket together and some cool manufacturing stuff. So let's look at that really quick.
So this is what we call our Circumferential Tig Welder. Essentially what happens on this machine is we'll bring a dome in here, we'll chuck up a dome, and we'll add a barrel section. And this machine is automated. You basically tell it which weld you're running. It positions everything for you, lights the torch, and it'll zip a weld all the way around the circumference. And we just keep adding barrels until we close out and add domes. We basically just grow a first stage tank on this machine.
Okay. And I know the stages on Rocket 3 and going forward are going to be being stretched a little bit, right? Are there changes to the barrel sections and the domes that need to have to that, or is it simple as let's just add more barrel sections?
From a high level, basically it's as simple as add more barrel sections. We had package protected for a longer rocket with extra rails on this machine in particular. And there's a limit to how much you can do there because you need to start optimizing around buckling stability of your tanks and what pressure you operate the tanks at, and you end up with a bunch of different trades as you change the aspect ratio of the rocket and the skin thickness and whatnot. So, but we package protected early on enough that was not a difficult change for us to accommodate.
Gotcha.
So our tanks use two different weld processes. We do friction stir welding for longitudinal seams that go up the raceway or the raceway axis, and then we use TIG for the circumferential seam. So if you're up on your pressure vessel math you'll know that hoop stress is exactly double the axial stress of a cylindrical pressure vessel. So you need double the weld performance on that linear seam.
Right.
So we use a friction stir weld there that has really high weld performance, greater than 80% paramaterial strength coming out of that weld.
Richie, thank you so much for upgrading your membership to the Civilian Astronaut. I'll make sure we upgrade your Discord there. Thank you for supporting our channel in that way. For those who don't know, if you hit that join button or go over to patreon.com/thelaunchpad, you can help support what we do, become part of our crew officially from a VIP spectator all the way up to a mission control director. And there's different perks of free merch. We've got custom bomber jackets to behind the scenes access, early script access, and different things like that. Last night following our stream, we were over on our Discord where you guys can join for free, hang out in the live chat, and ended up watching the eclipse together. So thank you, Richie, for that support of the channel there.
Solving the wrong problem, and can I look at this in another way that actually makes the answer simple? It's a common thing that you're taught when you're going through engineering school, that there are many ways to go about answering problems, and some are much simpler fundamentally than others if you take the right approach. So we definitely try to choose wisely when we're going to apply the right technique.
Okay.
Again, super cool to get a tour of the factory here at Astra, and if you want the full version of that, please check it out on NASA Spaceflight's YouTube channel. In the meantime, we're still in that T-minus 30-minute hold, but I've got a new guest here. Chloe Song is an embedded software engineer here at Astra. Chloe, thanks so much for taking some time to join me today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's a really exciting time to be here.
Absolutely. You're just going to talk about what is your job and your responsibilities here at Astra as an embedded software engineer?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, I'm an embedded software engineer on the Avionics software team. And our responsibilities are to develop and test the flight software that go on the rocket. So things like our guidance computer, our GPS, our radios, anything with a microcontroller on it, really, we're developing that code. And another big part of what we do is to test that and validate the software changes that we make. So we have what we call a hardware-in-the-loop simulator, our Mock-it. And that's really cool because it contains all of the avionics, our harnessing, a lot of sensor simulation, GPS simulation, all that.
Thanks so much, Kevin. Welcome as a VIP spectator. Appreciate you supporting us in that way. Thank you so much.
And run like a full mission simulation and make sure that the expected outcome does actually happen and we can catch any bugs in the software.
Wow, that's very extensive. That's a lot of stuff there. What part of that is your favorite part of what you're doing here at Astra?
Well, I mean, it's the cool thing about Astra is that no matter what you work on or touch, right, it's either going to go on the rocket or it's going to help us launch. So you really have an opportunity to make such a big impact here. And as an engineer, that's always really exciting to me. So yeah, I think just knowing that, I'm writing software for the rocket and it's going to fly, I mean, that's really cool.
That is really cool. The whole Astra motto here is around, simplify to scale and things like that. How does that philosophy apply to avionics and electronics design?
Right. So our simplify to scale philosophy is really about balancing quality, overhead, and scalability. And so when we're designing hardware or software, we have to constantly think about, okay, what's the simplest version of this that we can deliver to get us to our result in the quickest way possible, but also allow us to go back and add features and iterate on that in an easy way. So with printed circuit boards, for example, where you place a connector on a PCB can actually affect what the enclosure design looks like. And the enclosure design can affect how the sub-assemblies team is putting stuff together. And even down to like integration when we're putting something on the rocket, if something's like really difficult to put on there, that can be a big time sink for us. So any time savings with manufacturing and installation that we can make, we're constantly thinking about that.
Interesting. And that must be really involved with the testing process too and iterating from that perspective. What does that testing process look like for the electronics?
Right. So we sort of go through two test processes. One is qualification and the second is acceptance testing. Right. So the first is qualification testing, and when you have a new design, you have to verify that that's going to survive a launch, right? You can't just put a board on the rocket and expect it to, go through all that vibration and thermal cycling and work. So we actually have a lot of that test equipment in-house. So we do vibration testing, thermal testing. We have a thermal vacuum chamber that we use, and that gives us confidence that our products will survive a launch. And so after that, once you have a qualified design, you go into acceptance testing and production. So when we do get a batch of circuit boards back, we can't just put that on the rocket either. You sort of have to verify and do like a baseline functional testing and make sure that you're measuring the right voltages, your communication buses are all working at full speed, things like that. And that's sort of the last gate before delivering a flight-ready unit to the rocket.
Gotcha. And then I always like to ask about the human side of things. We talked a lot about hardware and software, of course, with the avionics team, but the human element is something that I think is really exciting to just learn about here at Astra. You got a lot of different backgrounds and things. What kind of roles make up the avionics team here?
Yeah, we have a bunch of roles. There are more embedded software engineers like myself. We have an awesome group of electrical engineers, GNC engineers who are basically celebrities after the last launch. But we're also hiring. We're hiring for experienced RF engineers, antenna engineers, avionics electronics technicians. So I would encourage anyone who is listening or viewing our live stream to go to astra.com/careers and see what's out there, whether or not anything I mentioned is relevant or not. I think.
On that note, pull up the website and take a look what there is. We know we were looking at this last night. If you're just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad and our live launch coverage of Astra 3. Again, thanks so much to NASA Spaceflight and Astra Space for the footage here this evening. But over on Astra.com, we scrolled through this pretty quickly last night. Quite a range of positions open. A lot of them in Alameda, California, where they do a lot of their development and testing, and where their actual mission control is. Tonight, they're just launching from Kodiak, Alaska at the Pacific Spaceport. So there is quite a bit of positions available here. We are currently sitting at T-minus 30 minutes and holding and waiting for an updated T0 on that. This hold is for additional time for propellant loading, so we are waiting to hear how that count continues. We do expect propellant load to complete at T-minus 20 minutes and counting, so hopefully we'll see that count resume here in the next few minutes. But there is a lot of positions very similar to SpaceX in their mass advancement and growth. So if you're looking for a job, take a moment, check it out. Maybe you can help develop a rocket that doesn't launch space to the Y. But we'll take a moment, take a look back at that live view of the rocket holding at T-minus 30 minutes and counting there, or 30 minutes and holding, waiting for an update. That's Zach, our cruise director. Oh my goodness. A great description. If you guys have any questions, you can send those in the chat. Just tag us at the launch pad, and we'll be answering those live as the evening continues on for this launch attempt here today. We were live about 4 hours yesterday, so hopefully we won't be here that long. We also want to hear from you guys in the chat. How many of you got to see the lunar eclipse last night? It was a very historic one, the longest lunar eclipse in over 600 years. Occurring. I got to head out there live on our Discord at like 2 in the morning. It was freezing outside, but it was so worth it. We had a beautiful, clear sky. Got some questions coming in the chat, so we'll be answering those. Salvation Zone says, I'm new here. Is the rocket reusable, or is it a one-time use? And why do you launch from Alaska instead of Florida or Texas? That's a great question, Salvation. Thanks for sending that in, and glad to have you here with us. So the rocket is not reusable. The Astra Rocket 3, which is on your screen, is the third generation of this rocket. Astra 1 and 2 never reached orbit, and neither has Astra 3. This is the fifth Astra 3 rocket they developed. The first they lost during ground testing. The other three they lost during flight testing. So they're hoping to successfully reach orbit here tonight. This is the second mission that they've had a paying customer of the U.S. Space Force. This is the second of 2 demo flights for the Space Force. So they need this to go well if they're going to want that contract. Now, the Astra rocket is quite a small rocket, only 43 feet tall or 13.1 meters, and can carry payloads up to about 300 kilograms into a 500-kilometer orbit. So it's not a mass launcher like a Falcon 9 or and then into Falcon Heavies or even something like an Atlas. So it's able to launch from some other launch sites that have smaller launch complexes. This rocket will actually fit into a sea can or shipping container, so it is able to be portable and brought around to launch complexes where needed, with about a week lead time from arrival on site to setting up the pad to actually having a launch. Now, the reason they're launching from Alaska is a lot of these payloads they want to launch into a polar orbit. Being in Alaska, they have a lot greater opportunity to launch into a polar orbit just based on what's around them. If I pull up the map here of Kodiak, there we go. There we go. This is Kodiak here that they're launching off, kind of in the southern part of Alaska there, south central. Tonight, they're going to be launching pretty much straight to the south, just a little to the east, over this storm here. But for polar orbits, a lot of them want to launch at angles kind of this angle, like tonight, maybe a little more steep this way, but they're not looking for the large, more steep, wide missions like we see with the International Space Station or something. They want the very steep polar orbits. So being able to launch from Alaska gives them that flexibility and openness of a large inclination range that they couldn't have if they were launching from somewhere like Texas. They could launch some here, but they'd have to watch out for Texas and Mexico. Florida, they're able to launch more to the east or to the north where we see the crew launches. We're starting to see polar launches start up, but not as many there. So that is why we see them launching currently from this. Now, Astra has signed a deal to launch from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station from Slick 36 in the future as well. So, long answer, I know, but I wanted to make sure we kind of covered it. Lots of options to it. The Astra 3 rocket is a two-stage rocket using RP-1 and liquid oxygen on board. Metal or Die's asking, what am I drinking? Hot cocoa or coffee or tea? None of the above. Pop. But there will be hot chocolate in it later. William's asking, I saw your previous stream for Rocket Lab as well. Thanks for coming back. Why does the first stage of Electron need a re-entry burn? So it needs that to be able to break through the wall. Or doesn't need a re-entry burn, sorry. Falcon 9 needs it because of its size and its speed to actually slow down and not overheat. That's how it uses that thrust to help re-enter and actually diffuse the heat of re-entry while slowing it down so it doesn't burn up. Electron's a smaller rocket, it's going slower, and has a bit more flexibility in that part there. Virginia, thanks so much for your order there. I did get a ping in my phone, so I assumed that was an order, so thank you so much. We'll get that out to you right away. Thanks for supporting us in that way. Richie, is the Launchpad hiring? Somewhat, sort of. There's definitely some positions that need to be filled. So we're always looking for people with great skills and talents that are interested in helping join our team and help advance the Launchpad. If you're new here, welcome. Launchpad's mission is to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow. We believe explorers can be here on Earth and up in space, and we believe space is better together. So we definitely are growing our team, especially with the new show launching and then launching our own Starbase and Launchpad cams next year as well. So 2022, lots of things coming here on the Launchpad. We're glad to have you all with us. But did you have a position idea, Richie? Taking a look, catching up on some of your questions. Where in Canada? I am up in Edmonton. Great to see another Albertan in the chat. Great to have you here. Saw someone was saying they were just in Calgary and Banff. That's awesome. Beautiful weather up there right now. You got out just in time. Justin, is that a different person representing Astra tonight? I believe the same main person. They do have a few people that they rotate in just to answer questions and tell a little bit more of their story, but they do have a few other people. Sorry, Pop means soda. Sorry. Canadian answer. I know. Like pop, no name, pop means soda. So that is what we are drinking. I figured we're hoping for a successful flight, but we don't know, so we're using the Starliner mug tonight. You don't sound Canadian. Say about. A boot. We gotta go out in a boot to the ODR, bud? Down south is all Coke. Pope is Canadian. Yeah, there we go. Metal or Die, how big of a threat is the storm system? Not a major threat, but definitely that we would see a multi-day delay of as they are looking at that weather. Currently, the winds are good. Temperature is still holding at 20 degrees Fahrenheit or -2 Celsius. But that wind is expected to pick up, gusting into the 50 and 60 mile per hour range and gaining quite a bit of snow on the ground, multiple inches. So that is where they are watching there. Sorry, we were on that map for as long as we were. Didn't think we were. Joshua, isn't this the same that has been scrubbed for 2 launches already? So this is the second night of attempting to launch this rocket, but they did delay the launch multiple times. So we've been counting down to this for about 2 weeks, but they kept pushing it off. But yesterday we had an attempt. They froze something to do with the ignition sequence, and now we're trying it here again. And we got it coming in from Sumray Hash. I'm probably saying that wrong. Sorry. You're Canadian, so am I. That's awesome. Welcome. I would love to see some more content on space endeavors, such as the plans for the launch complex in Nova Scotia. We are working on that. We are working on diving into more details on that, and I'll continue answering that in a second. On your screen now, though, is a live view of the payload for tonight's mission, the mass simulator, and those 2 green lights, rather than deploying the payload simulator on board tonight and creating more space junk, they're actually going to hold it, and when they hit that deploy button, we're actually going to see those lights turn on instead. So that is what they're just showing there on your screen. Absolutely some. We're working on getting some more content there. Also going to be diving into the new Canadarm or Cadarm 3. That'll be going up to the Gateway Station. A couple friends of mine working for them, so we're wishing that team well. We recognize that you're working on it, and excited to learn more about that as it becomes public over the next couple of years. Andrew, do you get your coffee at Tim Hortons? Do you like Timbits? Timbits are good. Coffee depends where I'm going. Depends what you're doing. But great to have you here. If you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat. Just tag us at the Launchpad, and we'll be answering those live as we continue on. Still holding at T-minus 30 minutes and counting, or 3 minutes and holding. We should be counting soon, but holding until liftoff here tonight. We're going to see if we have any updates from Astra at this time. That's an interesting camera shot. That is a onboard camera, I'm guessing, is what they're saying. Yep. So maybe we'll have an onboard view of to the night's flight, but we will see. Currently, we have been holding T-minus 30 minutes for about 30 minutes, so we'll see how long today's hold goes. Richie's asking, are there any Canadian rocket and space companies? They're working on doing a spaceport and launching kind of something out of Nova Scotia. We do have the Canadian Space Agency that works very closely with NASA. Right now, I believe we have 14 astronauts that have been selected. I believe 8 of them are ready for missions, focusing a bit more on Artemis, but hopefully we'll see someone up at the space station in the near future. It's been a little while since we've seen anyone up there, but hopefully soon. Big part of the Canadian Space Agency was working the Canadarm on the space shuttle, which is what really helped make the space station possible. They wouldn't have been able to build that without the arm. And then we have the Canadarm 2 on the International Space Station that gets used quite frequently. And now they're doing Canadarm 3, which will be going out onto the Lunar Gateway Space Station. So we do have that. There's not many other companies currently that are at least public. I'm sure there's a few in development, but most are the ones getting funding are in the States or elsewhere. What consists of Canadian nachos? Fries, gravy, and cheese curds. Not in that order. Fries, cheese curds, gravy. Prove you're Canadian. Show us the Tim Hortons. I don't have a Tim Hortons. It's been a while. It's a pandemic. We can't go out of the house. Was there a video shot of the eclipse last night? There definitely are some online. I couldn't get anything clear enough, but I got a couple pictures over on the Discord. Hello from Quebec City. Bonjour. See you later, Virginia. Thanks for jumping in. You're just joining us, though. Welcome here in the chat. Taking care of a couple things in the chat there. Let us know where you guys are tuning in from. We're glad to have you all here. And we'll be answering your questions. So continue sending those in. Just tag us at the launch pad, and they will get flagged. Sorry about that there in the chat. Lee, I know their Astra is launching from Alaska, but in general, does launching rockets get tougher the further the equator you get? Depending on the rocket. So a lot of rockets launch from the equator because the Earth isn't perfectly round. It does have a little bit of a squish to it because of that spin. We squeeze out at the equator a little bit. So launching from the equator, you do get an extra little boost from launching there. So that's why we launch a lot of crew missions from that type of location. For something like this, they don't necessarily need that extra boost in the rocket, so they are able to launch there. But there is a difference to the mechanics of it and the dynamics of what the rocket needs to be able to do. So that is a difference there. Florida Sunshine, thanks so much for joining there as a VIP spectator. Thanks, appreciate your support in that way. Albeli seems like a long hold. It really does. We saw these a few times last night, these longer holds. Definitely, I think this hold has to do more with the propellant loading, because propellant loading only takes them like 20 minutes, 25 minutes on this rocket, and we've been in a hold for over 35. So they're definitely working some other things that we haven't been updated on. We are keeping an eye on Astra's Twitter to see if we have any updates from them. Their last tweet was 30 minutes ago saying we're holding at T-minus 30, so we'll be a little bit of one there. Lots of people joining all over the world. We got Cortland, Virginia. We got Florida. We got India. Great to have you all here. The Canadians invent pineapple on pizza. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. We got the UK's here. Great to have you here. Bay Area checking in. Beaverton, Ontario. Ontario. Great to have you all in the chat here this evening. Matthew Presley, this is the only polar launch site, right? They're only one in Alaska, I believe. New Zealand would technically count as a polar launch site. For where its location, kind of the opposite of Alaska. So there are other polar launch sites in development. There's another launch site being developed in Nova Scotia, Canada, that we'd hopefully be able to see some launches, maybe like Astra or stuff like that. If you're just joining us, you're welcome here to the Launchpad. You're joining us for our live launch coverage of Astra 3, thanks to the footage of NASA Spaceflight and Astra Space Inc. We are currently sitting at T-minus 30 minutes and holding and waiting for an updated T0 time. Do have a couple of hours left in the launch window. We did this all last night for about 4 hours, and it ended up getting down to T-minus 12 minutes and counting, and then heard Scrub so calmly come over the chat So we'll wait to hear. We're going to take a moment, listen into Mission Control and the NASA spaceflight feed, and see if we hear any updates.
Is our first stage engine. Ether is our upper stage engine. Booster is the first stage system. Orbit is the upper stage system. Launcher is in charge of the ground support equipment, and Panther is the backroom coordinator. So you may hear those call signs as we continue to listen to the countdown, and you'll hear those during the go, no-go poll as well.
And on top of all of those folks who are working here in Alameda, we also got the skeleton crew that's out there in Alaska, and we mentioned them earlier about the Red Team doing their work. Can you talk a little bit about what the heck the Red Team is?
Yes, our huge shout out to Red Team, who is out there in these cold conditions, making sure that our vehicle and systems are go for flight. So starting off with our Red lead is Adam Frisch, who is responsible for all the activities and the safety of launch pad related operations. Then we have a few pad technicians who are Hill Hudson, Robert Freeman, Eric Larson, and Sam Hirschfeld. They operate the hardware hands-on on the ground before the remote systems take over, so they're the ones who are making sure that everything's set up. We have our IT, or Red Wire, who's Eric Steinberg. We call him Steiny. Yeah. And so he's the specialist in our IT systems and AV, and we have to be very thankful to him for the great broadcast that we're having this evening as well. And finally, our safety lead is Ryan Hirschfeld, who's responsible for the safety of overall launch operation events, including personal compliance with our safety policies and procedures, which is really important. So again, want to give a huge shout out to our Red Team who are out there in the cold and dark. We are very grateful for the hard work that you do.
Absolutely. A very cool team out there, and it's cool to see them work. In the meantime, those teams are still working a hold. We're at T-minus 30 minutes and holding. Propellant loading is just finishing up still, and the teams are working on that. As soon as we have a new T0, I will share that with you as soon as we can. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and listen into the pad mics as the rocket sits there and gets fueled up, and we'll bring you some more information as soon as we have it.
Someone forgot to mute. But if you're just joining us, welcome. We're listening into the live mission control comms of Astra as they prepare to launch their Astra 3 rocket here this evening. Got a question in the chat. What's their launch window time tonight? We haven't been given the full launch window. Last night we know they had till about an hour and a half or so from now. So we're assuming they have a similar launch window here this evening. We are waiting for an update on that T0, though. Do they have heaters in Alaska? I hope so. I've got one next to me in here, and I'm about 700-800 kilometers probably south of them. Jerry, if they fail to launch to orbit tonight, I'm selling all your shares. Oh my. Hold the hope. Hopefully they'll get there. The most important job is the guy that gets to open the gates. So apparently they say that's actually part of their pad safety protocol. It definitely was helpful for when their rocket did what it did last time, where it decided to launch and then go wee to the side and went right out the gate. So it was very polite, didn't take the fence out, and went out to the side till it burned off enough fuel to start going vertical. Michael, this is not a fueling activity. This is taking too long to load fuel. Something else is up. It could be still fuel if they started and then stopped and then resumed the fueling. But we don't have confirmation on why they are doing that at this time. Jane, do I own any shares or opinions? Don't have any financial opinions that I would share on your stocks. That's something that you should decide yourselves with your own financial advisors. Currently, I don't have any of Astra, but focusing on some other stuff right now. Yes, we do have snow. We got about 12, 14 inches a couple days ago. So yes, we do have snow. Launch would be a good birthday present. Today's your birthday, Princess. Happy birthday for all of us here. Glad to have you here in the chat. Hope you're having a good day. Let's see some happy birthdays, maybe some Coke emojis in the, or Coke emoji, cake emojis in the chat there. Great to have you all here. If you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat. We're listening into the current live comms, waiting an update on the T-minus 30 minutes and holding. Hey Matthew, how's it going? Tuning in from Fort Myers, Florida. Glad to have you here. Thanks for jumping on. We'll run through a little bit of the mission expectation again for those just joining us. You're looking at a live view of Astra's Astra 3 rocket on the pad at the Pacific Spaceport Complex in Kodiak, Alaska. This is rocket 3.3, ready for launch, or known as LV0007, for the U.S. Space Force. The mission is STP-27AD2, as this is the second demo mission for the U.S. Space Force. On board is no satellite, just a payload simulator, mass simulator, about 50 kilograms weight, that will not be deployed into orbit, but will be taken up and have a payload deployment simulation in 500 kilometers low Earth orbit at an inclination of 86 degrees. Astra is not a reusable rocket, so it will have its first stage splash down into the Pacific Ocean, and second stage will burn up in the atmosphere. Astra does hope to eventually see one Astra rocket launched every day. That is their goal and their mission. They are now already signing deal for Slick 46 in Cape Canaveral Space Force Station, and apparently are looking at other launch complexes around the world as well. So we'll see as that progresses.
And again, we are still holding at T-minus 30 minutes and holding. Close to resuming that count, and once we have the firm new T0, we'll go ahead and share that with you. We'll do a little bit more Q&A, but once the countdown resumes, the countdown is going to get pretty chatty, and we'll go ahead and listen into that because that's always cool. But again, getting close to resuming the hold. Once we have a new T0, I'll share that. In the meantime, let's go ahead and do some more Q&A here. The next one, let's see, how does fuel get into the rocket?
Sure. So you see that the fuel is pumped into the rocket through our launcher system and the ground support equipment that that goes with it. So you may be able to see some of the long hoses on the ground. You can see that this black sort of support structure that the rocket is sitting on, that's our launcher, and it's actually a really complex piece of equipment. You can also see the lines that connect the upper stage to the strong back, that long arm that is leaned back, and so that is those are some of the lines that pump the propellants into the vehicle.
Next question here. Let's see. Shannon in chat says, we're all familiar with the wildlife that Florida fondly calls KSC security. There are gators out there, of course. What sorts of wild visitors do you get in Kodiak?
Yeah, so there certainly are bears out there. I don't think we've seen any recently, but I think the red team in the past has seen plenty of deer and moose and things like that. And during this launch campaign, there's been a friendly little fox that has been roaming around as well, which has been a nice thing to see. But of course, we work with the range and make sure that things are as clear as possible and as safe as possible before we begin our launch operations.
The next question from chat says, what is the latest time, that Astra can launch in today's launch window?
Sure. So we do have about 2.5 hours remaining in our window. Our window closes at midnight Pacific time, so we actually have plenty of time in our window remaining for launch tonight.
Yeah, and again, if you're just joining us, we're still at T-minus 30 minutes and holding, and we're waiting for a new T0, but hopefully getting close to that information being with us here. The next question from chat, though, in the meantime, Kenny asks, is Astra going to deorbit the payload?
Right. So today's flight is a test mission. So the payload that we have is actually just a mass simulator. So it will not be deployed during this mission. So there will not be any need to deorbit it. The first stage will will deorbit, will burn up in the atmosphere with the payload attached to it. We will be sending a signal to simulate the deployment and make sure that everything would have worked nominally had we had a non-mass simulator payload aboard the rocket today.
So just to clarify, the upper stage and the payload still attached will both destructively re-enter safely and mitigate, no space debris and things like that.
Right, exactly. Okay. We consider that to be very important. We want to be responsible stewards of space, and our mission is to improve life on Earth from space, and one of the ways that we think is important to do that is by making sure that we use space responsibly and aren't creating a bunch of space debris.
Gotcha. Absolutely. The next question from Quinn asking, will Astra ever have a need for civil engineers?
Astra has needs for all kinds of engineers. I think that's one of the most exciting things about working here, and one of the things that makes us unique is we have folks from all sorts of different backgrounds, and we have a lot of obviously specialists in aerospace engineering and propulsion, but many of our team come from automotive backgrounds, from different startups and companies around the Bay Area where we're located. I myself have a biomedical engineering background, so you can check out our careers page on astra.com and see the types of opportunities we are hiring for. But we like to have a diverse set of backgrounds because it helps us build rockets differently.
All right. A related question here in chat. What's the difference between the machine shop, the production team, and the engineering team?
Sure, that's a great question. So the engineering team, they are the team that is really working on the design of the vehicle and designing all of the components. The production team is responsible for building the rocket and taking those designs and making them into a reality. And then we have an in-house machine shop, which is sort of part of our production team. And a lot of what you see on our vehicle and on our launch system does come into our factory as raw material, as sheets of metal, and our in-house machine shop turns them into the finished product that you see today. And all of these teams work very closely together. We're all trying to build for scale from the outset, and so it's very important for our engineering team to consider, how are we going to make not just one of this part, but how are we going to make tens and hundreds of this part so that we can scale up our production.
The next question from chat says, can a manual abort be issued when it is under 10 seconds from liftoff?
Yeah, so an abort can be called at any point in the countdown, and so I've mentioned earlier that the vehicle is on its internal control in those final seconds leading up to launch, but an abort can be called at any point, and the system can also use its own sensors and checks to abort immediately before launch. So there's always a way to hold off and to stop the process as well.
Gotcha. Again, if you have any questions about the launch, what you're seeing, what we're talking about, please go ahead and throw those in the chat. And if you tag us with @NASA Spaceflight, we'll be able to see them, and we'll bring them in, and we're going to keep asking those over the course of the broadcast. We are still waiting for this hold to clear, hopefully getting there soon. We're at T-minus 30 minutes in holding. Once that hold is released, we should have a new T0 for you, the targeted liftoff time, and as soon as we have that, we'll share it. But in the meantime, teams are still holding, and we'll have a new T0. Like Carolina said, the launch window extends another hour and a half or so. I'm sorry, 2.5 hours. I can't do math in my head. My apologies. 2.5 hours.
Yes, we have quite some time remaining.
The next question from Sam says, how will Astra manage countdowns and launch? Sorry, let me rephrase that.
If you're just joining us, welcome here to our live launch coverage of Astra 3's rocket. Just listening in there to comms, hearing any updates. You can see Astra 3, the propellant loading is gone. We've been seeing some large venting here. They look like they're resuming the count, so let's listen back in here. Clock is moving.
On countdown, Astra is resuming count at this time. Per step 106, FTS verify mission data load values are ready to be loaded onto the AFTU. Run cast software as required.
CAS software is running.
Hey,
AMT
Angry
is
Astronaut. Thanks for jumping on. Good to see you.
Safety, confirm that you have all Astra employees and guests in Kodiak accounted for.
Safety can confirm.
And all personnel are in a safe location.
Correct. You have 2 individuals at AMC.
GNC, verify for me we are still green on COLAs with a 6:04 time, and still green on blackout avoidance.
Confirmed green on colas and blackout avoidance.
RCO, flight on countdown. At this time, Astra requests power on transmitter and enable tone A.
This is RCO, that's INWORT. Flight, this is RCO. We have carrier up and monitor up.
Copy that. Safety, verify signal strength and good power up.
Safety can confirm.
Tango and AV1 rocket support cart, please enable the FTS.
FTS is enabled.
Safety, verify FTS is enabled and nominal.
Safety can confirm.
RCO, flight on countdown. At this time, Astra FTS is enabled on the vehicle.
RCO copies.
This takes us to final software load. Tango and machine pump battery 2, manage pump battery charging. Please set us to mode 2, stop charging pump batteries.
Mode 2, charging is stopped.
In AV1 manage power systems, toggle off guidance power system authority.
Guidance power system authority, off.
In AV1 manage polling, toggle do only ground polling.
Do only ground polling, on.
Per step 120, Tango, are you ready to load new late load configs?
Standing by for late loads.
Go ahead, Delphin.
Igniter controller config is 154 Victor 1.
GC igniter 154 Victor 1. Good load.
Engine alpha is 155 Victor 18.
Engine alpha 155 Victor 18. Good load.
Engine bravo is 156 Victor 15.
Engine bravo 156 Victor 15. Good load.
Engine Charlie is 157 Victor 15.
Engine Charlie 157 Victor 15. Good load.
Engine Delta is 158 Victor 18.
Engine Delta 158 Victor 18. Good load.
And engine Echo is 159 Victor 16.
Engine Echo 159 Victor 16. Good load.
Ether, please provide your late load config.
Ether late load config 163 Victor 11.
Ether controller 163 Victor 11. Successful load.
GNC, please provide your late load config.
We're loading 5 Victor 137 L4 configuration.
5 Victor 137 GNC Kodiak launch config. Successful load.
Alright, Tango in VB1 turn on off PDBs, please run a GNC setup.
GNC setup on.
And again, as you have seen, they're working through some engine configs because we are back into the countdown. T-minus 25 minutes or so and counting. Our new T0 is 10:04 p.m. Pacific time or 6:04 a.m. UTC. And the countdown is proceeding. Carolina, what are we doing right now in the countdown?
Sure. So the next step in the countdown is we're going to spin up the pumps of the first stage engine. It's one of our final checks, and we're well on our way to our T0 time in just 24 minutes.
And if you're just joining us, welcome here to our live launch coverage of Astra here on the launch pad. We'll quickly break down what we're expecting to see next now that we are T-minus 24 minutes, 45 seconds, and counting. At T-minus 45 minutes was when we saw propellant load begin. Obviously, that happened through that very long hold that we saw. Propellant load complete should be at T-minus 20 minutes based on a normal countdown, so we're not too sure on that. At T-minus 15 minutes, we will hear a go, no go to enter the terminal count. We'll also expect to see a test of the water deluge system, and this is where we saw a hold yesterday as they had some issues with the site with pipes freezing. T-minus 3 seconds, we'll see ignition of those 5 engines with liftoff at T0. We'll expect to see pitch over between 3 to 6 seconds after liftoff with max Q at T plus 1 minute 10 seconds. MECO, 2 minutes 50 seconds into flight, followed immediately by fairing separation and stage separation. Fairing separation possibly happening first. Excuse me. Second stage ignition at T plus 3 minutes, 5 seconds into flight, with SECO, second engine cutoff, 8 minutes, 30 seconds into flight, followed by payload deployment signal. That's when we're going to see 2 green lights inside activate, rather than them deploying the actual payload simulator and creating more space debris. It'll stay attached and go from there. If you guys have questions, take a moment, share those in the chat. Just tag us at the launch pad, and we will answer those. Great to see so many people in here. The Angry Astronaut, Joe, Alicious, Heather, Andrew, Joe. Great to see so many of you, as well as our whole Kevin's Corner here, always in the chat. We're glad to have you. If you're new, take a moment, engage that subscribe button. Also, share out the broadcast. Let people know we're at T-minus 22 minutes, 50 seconds and counting until liftoff. If you're watching over on Facebook or Twitch, take a moment, share it out as well. But come join us over on YouTube and subscribe, youtube.com/thelaunchpad. As we get a little bit closer to that T-minus 15 minute mark, we'll listen into the live comms and listen in through that launch sequence at that point. But we're going to take a few minutes and answer some of your questions here this evening. So make sure you keep sending those in. This is the 4th launch attempt and the 5th Astra 3 rocket that has been built by the Astra Space Company, launching out of Kodiak, Alaska. Should we see a scrub here tonight? We do know that there is some winter storm warnings going into effect later tonight into the morning, so we would likely see a multi-day delay. Kevin's hoping for a successful launch. Absolutely. Yeah, we want to hear from you guys in the poll there. How do you think tonight's Astra launch will go? Right now, 600 plus votes, almost 650. 29% think we're going to see a scrub. 8% think failure on pad or liftoff. 10% think failure during flight, and 53% think successful flight and deployment. That's the one I'm hoping for. I hope we see them off the pad because we are Team Space and we cheer on all the space companies as they are hopefully helping advance the space industry together, and that's what we need right now. On your screen there, you can see a breakdown of the rocket, so we're going to listen in and hear that breakdown.
And then we'll work our way up the rocket. So first you can see we have our first stage Delphin engines. Those are electric pump-fed engines that each produce 6,500 pounds of thrust. You can see sort of 3 of them peeking out from under the engine bay, but we do have 5 of them on the first stage. And then they are attached to that engine bay segment, which contains the pumps, the electronics, and the plumbing needed to run those engines. Moving up to the right is the first stage, that is the largest segment of the vehicle, and that is the propellant that powers those Delphin engines. Both stages are full of liquid oxygen and RPX, which is essentially kerosene. And then the kind of cone-shaped section. That's the inner stage. That contains a lot of the avionics of the vehicle, and also is where the nozzle extension of the upper stage ether engine sort of fits in snugly. And then looking to the right, the upper stage, that sort of dark triangle shape, that's the bottom portion of the upper stage ether engine, which produces 740 pounds of thrust. It's a pressure-fed engine, and there is one of those on the upper stage, and you can see the two spherical tanks on the upper stage that are, again, liquid oxygen and RPX, with that payload adapter plate on top. And then finally, the two halves that you see above and below the upper stage, those are the fairings, which are in two halves, which come apart in order to install that payload on top of the upper stage.
And so those are all the different components, and then when it gets all fueled up, we have this extra kind of confusing bit because it gets frosty near the top of the first stage, and that's the liquid oxygen tank, right?
Right, that's right. So you can see, now if we go from the top, you can see the fairing is kind of that curved upper portion that has the that triangle sticker, that's the Space Force logo, and then the portion that has the star, the Astra logo, that's the inner stage, that cone-shaped portion, and then the part that has kind of what, the steam and the ice on it, that's the top portion of the first stage. So you can see that the first stage is really the majority of the length of the rocket.
And of course, the top portions are the only painted versions. We got that nice bare aluminum down the side of the first stage engine, which of course gets covered up in frost. You might not even be able to tell once it's fully fueled. But the reason that not the whole first stage is like this, because only the liquid oxygen gets cold enough to condense the air around it. The kerosene's at ambient temperatures, right?
Yes, that's right. So the liquid oxygen is very, very cold, and what you're seeing is that ice forming on the outside, kind of similar to the condensation forming if you're having a very cold drink on a hot day. So that's the ambient air around it condensing and forming a thin layer of ice that does tend to fall off as the rocket proceeds through its trajectory.
And then what are all these vapors that we're seeing? We're seeing some around the rocket, and also a bunch from the ground equipment around the rocket. What's that?
Yeah, so those are vents to make sure that we're keeping the propellants at the appropriate temperatures, pressures, making sure that everything remains nice and full, and then the sort of steam that you may see coming off the rocket, that's just kind of that condensation on the outside of the rocket.
We are coming up at the point of the countdown at T-minus 17 minutes and counting here. We're coming up on the water test. We'll see the groundwater deluge test. Now it should be pretty visible. So let's go ahead and listen into the countdown net and listen into the pad as that test comes underway.
Tango, close water valve 100.
Water valve 100 closed.
Water valve 104 closed, please.
104 closed.
Thank you. Good water test. GNC also confirms good on winds.
And as you just saw, we had that water deluge test, so the team's continuing to work through the countdown, and everything appears nominal for an on-time liftoff. Again, the T0 is currently targeted for 10:04 p.m. Pacific time. That's just over 16 minutes from now, and we're now getting close to entering the terminal count, I believe is our next milestone, right, Carolina?
That's right. So that's at our T-minus 15-minute mark is terminal count, which is really our final checks of the vehicle, and we can listen in. We'll have a go, no-go poll very shortly to proceed into tank pressurization and launch.
Let's go ahead and listen back into the countdown as the Astra teams get into terminal count.
GNC self-test. GNC call out upon completion with result.
GNC self-test started.
We're waiting here to go into their count, into the terminal count there. So we'll hear a no go for that. We did see a good water deluge test, which we didn't really see last night. So good to see that, and hopefully we will not see over the next 15 minutes that water system freeze up like we heard that ended up happening last night.
Self-test is passed.
Copy. FTS, confirm that the FTS is still enabled and nominal in the vehicle.
The FTS is enabled and nominal.
Tango in fuel for operate, please toggle full.
Fuel for operate, full.
And
on.
fast.
Fast, on.
Please let me know when you're ready to inspect the launch machine and set a new UTC T0 time.
In work.
That sounded like he wants to set a new T0, so let's listen in and see what's going to happen here. Maybe another hold? Or maybe they just say the official T0
Tango,
at
I'd like
this
you to
point?
set a new UTC T0 time of hours 6.
Hours 6.
Minutes 4.
Minutes 4.
Seconds 0.
Seconds 0.
That's the same time they were
Please
targeting, so we're
save and
still on
commit.
track.
Changes committed.
T-minus 13 minutes, 50 seconds and counting.
Alright, we are into the terminal count now. Less than 14 minutes to go. Let's give a brief overview of what today's launch will look like, Carolina.
Sure. A few seconds before liftoff, we will light the 5 first-stage Delphin engines, and the system will run checks to make sure that everything is nominal. If that looks good, at T0 seconds, we will release the hold-down release mechanisms for liftoff. A few seconds later, the vehicle will begin its pitch over to continue its trajectory. And after that, the next objective is max Q at 1 minute and 10 seconds after launch, a very significant objective. That is the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle. 2 minutes and 50 seconds into the flight, we'll have main engine cutoff, or MECO, and then a few things happen in pretty quick succession. The fairings will separate, and then 5 seconds later, the first stage and the upper stage will separate from each other, and the upper stage ether engine will light at 3 minutes and 5 seconds. It will run for a little over 5 minutes until we have second engine cutoff, or SECO, at 8 minutes and 30 seconds. And then at 8 minutes and 40 seconds, we will have the payload deployment signal. Again, we have a mass simulator as our payload on this mission. We will not be deploying it, but we will send that signal to simulate our deployment.
You're just joining us. Welcome here to the launch pad, our live launch coverage of Astra 3. Now in the terminal count, T-minus 12 minutes, 15 seconds, and counting until liftoff. They enter the terminal count, confirm the T0. The T0 had not moved, which means the count is progressing on time, and they are proceeding towards this launch attempt. Seeing that screen back up, got some nerves, I know. That's where we ended up seeing the scrub last night. Multiple delays, and then the scrub. At this time, the count passing through that 12-minute countdown marker. We're going to continue listening into the live mission control comms for updates as things progress. The next major thing that we are expecting that will go through the process is liftoff. So we're going to keep listening in for any updates. If you guys have questions, keep sending in those chat. We're going to be responding them into the chat, and then we'll respond to them also following the launch. If you're new, take a moment, engage that like and subscribe button. It really does help us out. Let's see if we can get to 11.5k subs and I don't know, 500 likes before liftoff. You guys normally like a challenge, so let's see what we can do. Glad to have you all here, but let's listen back in. And as always, when I say let's listen back in, they go quiet. Coming down to T-minus 11 minutes and counting until liftoff. Take a moment, share it out, let people know that we are entered that terminal count.
Okay, per step 150, this takes us into the hold for tank pressurization and launch. After this point, any system issue must be called as a 3-word hold. If there are no concerns for flight, call go. Otherwise, call no go. Red lead.
Red lead is go.
FTS.
Go.
Delphin.
Go.
Ether.
Ethers go.
Odin.
Odin's go.
Inco.
Inco's go.
Ace.
Go.
Launcher.
Launchers go.
Orbit.
Orbit is go.
Booster.
Go.
GNC.
GNC is go.
FAO.
Go.
CDH.
CDH is go.
Tango.
Tango's go.
Safety.
Safety is go.
Flight is go. Tango and AV1 manage polling. Please toggle do only ground polling.
AV1 manage polling. Do only ground polling. On.
Delphin, are you ready to load sequences?
Delphin's ready.
Tango, are you ready?
Tango standing by.
Go ahead, Delphin.
Igniter sequence is 703 Victor 3.
Igniter sequence 703 Victor 3 slot 0. Good load.
Engine Alpha is 821 Victor 3.
Engine Alpha 821 Victor 3 slot 0. Loaded.
Engine Bravo is 822 Victor 2.
Engine Bravo 822 Victor 2 slot 0. Good load.
Engine Charlie is 823 Victor 2.
Engine Charlie 823 Victor 2 slot 0. Loaded.
Engine Delta is 824 Victor 2.
Engine Delta 824 Victor 2 slot 0. Good load.
And Engine Echo is 825 Victor 2.
Engine Echo 825 Victor 2 slot 0. Loaded. Successful load.
Astra's gonna call a hold right now.
RCO copies, we have a hold.
Here we go again, folks. Let's listen in, see what's happening.
As you see, we're at 8 minutes and 38 seconds and holding now. A hold has been called, Carolina.
Yeah, as you can see, there appears to be a valve stuck open near the base of the vehicle. It's one of our ground side valves that the team is working to cycle and get that fixed. If we do resolve the issue quickly, which we hopefully will be able to resolve, then we would recycle the clock at T-minus 15 minutes with a new T0 time. So we'll provide some updates as soon as we have more information. But again, we are in a hold.
Yes, are in a hold, and we will also share a new T0 as soon as we have that information as well. So standing by.
And you know, in the chat, people say we're so close. Well, it looks like it's gonna go, and nope, they've got a valve frozen, stuck open. What's interesting is, not to bring up past failures, but their first mission, that was not a launch attempt, but was a ground test, they lost the vehicle due to a valve being stuck open while detanking the vehicle. So hopefully we don't see that, but we're going to stay on the live view here. But we are now in a hold again. Not something we were hoping to hear, but that valve stuck open. You can see them kind of turning it, looking like they're turning it on and off, but it's definitely spraying something out there that they're not wanting. Looks like it's calming down a little bit, but it doesn't look like it fully seals. So it looks like they're trying to blast it repetitively, trying to clear a clog, possibly something that is frozen. That does look like where we saw that water come out for that water deluge system test. So I'm thinking maybe there's an issue with this water deluge system. I don't know, but oh, it looks like maybe it's still leaking a little. We wonder why I'm looking this way. I have a bigger monitor here with the stream pulled up. Over here's chat and stuff, but it does look like it's still leaking there. So they're trying to, it looks like, burst whatever's frozen in that pipe valve to go. If they have to send people back out to the pad, that's obviously going to be a much larger delay and probably just a scrub for tonight. But we don't know as of yet. But another hold here this evening. If you're new, take a moment, engage that subscribe button. We appreciate you guys being here. We cover all the launches, the big and the little. We're glad to have you here, as well as full space updates, space news updates. We do know that we have our Falcon 9 DART launch, the double asteroid redirection test, coming up in a couple of days. We've pre-scheduled that stream, so you guys can go and set your reminders and have that ping you when we go live. But if there's any changes to that schedule, we'll be able to reschedule that, and you'll get notified based on the new time. While we wait, take a moment, send in some questions. Tag us at the Launchpad. We can answer those. It can be anything related to Astra or space, SpaceX, Starship, anything like that, and we're glad to answer those
we are
here.
still in hold. However, those teams have been able to cycle that valve that we were looking at, and it sounds like we're going to be ready to recycle back to that T-minus 15 point, the terminal count point, and we'll have a new T0 here shortly.
Yes, that's right. The teams were able to resolve the issue. You don't see any of the sort of cloud that was forming near the base of the vehicle, and we believe we have addressed the issue. So we'll have an updated T0s shortly.
So right now we're at T-minus 15 minutes.
And again, once we get back into terminal count, the next big milestone is going to be, after a couple preliminary steps, there will be the go, no-go poll once again to get back into the final 10 minutes of the count. But they're going to recycle to the hold point of T-minus 15 minutes to actually enter the terminal count. And once we have a new T0, we'll share that.
So technically we're at T-minus 15 minutes. Last night they went 15 minutes, 15 seconds. Started the count and then read out onto the comms that they were resuming the count. So T-minus 15 minutes and holding. Hopefully won't be long here until we hear that begin, and then they can start that count. Basically everything we heard over the last 10 minutes they're going to have to redo again, but they were able to flush that valve out and close it, and hopefully we don't have any more delays here this evening. But I definitely think they need to work on that. Some of their valves need a little bit of work, I think. Let us know what you guys think in the chat. If you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat, and we'll continue answering those live as the evening progresses here and following the launch here tonight. A couple things. If you want to, you can join our community Discord. A bunch of people are hanging out in live comms, and I'll be jumping over there following tonight's launch attempt here. Also, we know the holidays are coming up. You can head on over to our Etsy shop, pick up your Hoppy Xmas, your Ugly Starbase, or your Deck the Halls with Lots of Rockets t-shirts and sweaters, or any of our normal Starbase gear or TLP gear. It helps to support us. I'm wearing our Starbase shirt today, or Starship shirt today, with the Starship schematics of both the booster and S20 on my back, and it's a great support of what we do, and a nice little gift, or a gift for yourself for it. So you can take a look and find that there. Even if you're not ordering something today, favorite the shop. Get notified anytime we have a sale or new products that drop. All that goes into funding our equipment costs and being able to bring you guys the best possible live coverage. So take a moment there. If you do like helping what we do and want to help us out, you can also become a member. Right next to the chat, there should be a big join button. If you click that, you'll have options on how you can join and become a member, get access to our behind the scenes, early video access, live video editing access, and tons of things like that, as well as some free merch as well. So take a moment and check that out. Joe Dog's got a really great point in the chat. In the early days of Falcon 9, scrubs were very common for the Block 2 and 3. With this company not even hitting orbit, these are just the growing pains of a new launch provider. I agree there, Joe. On board today is a 50 kilogram payload simulator that will not be deployed, but will have a simulated deployment for the U.S. Space Force. This is their second demo flight, the first obviously not going as expected. What is the max payload? So based on the Astra website, we'll pull this up here as we're awaiting an update from their mission control, and I do have the live comms audio full audio, so you will hear that the moment it happens. But on the screen here, this is straight from Astra on their payload availability for the Astra 3 rocket, based on payload kilograms and their altitude they can hit, based on the launch inclination. That's a very important thing to see. Based on what inclination they're going and how they're fighting the Earth or going with the Earth, definitely changes what they are able to actually lift. So in total, you can see all the way up to 630 kilograms into a low Earth orbit if they're launching at a 9-degree inclination. If they want to go up all the way to 1,300 kilograms, they're a bit more limited. So it does have quite a range that's able to go. Able to launch 500 kilograms to a 500-kilometer orbit with other inclinations and launches they're hoping to have soon. They will be doing the launch from Slick 46 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in the future as well. For Sunshine, I want a Hoppy Xmas t-shirt, but no small. There should be a small size, and if there's not, I can fix that. Sorry, Florida Sunshine, but there should be. Or did you mean extra small? You mean extra small? I don't believe we have extra small in the holiday, in all the holiday stuff. There's a few things limited in sizes. There should be a small available. Just make sure you're not looking at the baby sizes. That might change it. Tonight they're aiming, we believe they're aiming for an altitude of 500 kilometers. But we do not have a full confirmation on that. Glad you like the polo shirt there, Michael. Thanks so much. We try to make stuff that's wearable and enjoyable.
We are still
not
in that
cheesy.
hold, but we are expecting a new T0 shortly. The teams have been able to cycle that valve that we were seeing in the bottom of the launcher there, and we're expecting a new T0 shortly.
Yes, that's right. The teams have resolved the issue, so any moment now we expect to have an updated T0 and resume the countdown.
What we'll hear on the countdown net, which we'll be able to listen into, is them setting that new T0 time, and then the teams will go back into go, no-go polling to proceed with the launch attempt. So standing by for that T0 call from Flight Director Chris Hoffman.
Flight on countdown picking back up. Tango, please let me know when you can deactivate and inspect the launch machine to update our T0.
In work, deactivating launch machine. Inspecting, ready to set a T0.
Hours 6.
Hours 6.
Minutes 16.
Minutes 16.
Seconds 00.
Seconds 00.
Save and commit.
So that's T-minus 10 minutes and counting.
Then let me know when you're ready to activate.
Ready to activate.
And as you just heard, our new T0 is 10:16 p.m. Pacific time, or 6:16 UTC. The Astra teams are now 9 minutes and 30 seconds left.
Go. Red lead.
Go.
FTS.
FTS is go.
Delphin.
Go.
Ether.
Go.
Odin.
Go.
Inco.
Inco's go.
Ace.
Go.
Launcher.
Launchers go.
Orbit.
Go.
Booster.
Go.
GNC.
Go.
FAO.
Go.
CDH.
CDH is go.
Tango.
Tango's go.
Safety.
Safety is go.
Flight is go. Tango, confirm that in AV1 managed polling we are still in ground mode.
We're currently in do both ground and guidance, turning only ground pulling on. Do only ground is set to true.
Delphin, do you require new sequences?
Sequences have not changed, so we do not need to reload.
Copy. Ether, please provide me with your flight sequence for tonight.
Ether flight sequence 806 Victor 3.
Ether sequence 806, Victor 3. Title all hosses, no bosses. Slot 0, loading.
You just heard the teams have polled go for launch. We're at T-minus
Successful
8
load.
minutes and counting.
Tango and AV1 managed polling, please toggle do both ground and guidance.
Do both ground and guidance set to true.
Delphin, please confirm GSE igniter system is ready for launch.
Igniter system is ready for launch.
FTS, issue logic on AFTU, verify CAS is green and nominal.
And work. Logic enable issued and received on both AFTUs.
Copy. Tango, at this time, verify that the vehicle is ready for launch aside from tank pressures.
Blue lines are met. Looks good.
If you're just joining us, we're at 6.5 minutes and counting. Everything on track for a liftoff at 10:16 p.m. Pacific time. Teams have pulled go for launch and are now into the final steps of the countdown.
RCO flight on countdown. At this time, I am looking for final range green and launch authorization for this evening.
This is RCO. Range is green. You are authorized to launch.
Thank you.
And you just heard the range has authorized go for launch, range green.
Tango, at this time in the launch machine, I would like you to enable launch.
Launch enabled.
Now T-minus 5 minutes and counting. Again, everything on track and nominal for liftoff.
RCO flight on countdown. Verify range. Will be recording telemetry at liftoff.
This is RCO. I can confirm range is recording telemetry.
Thank you. 4 minutes. Reminder to control room, if you require RF data, please be prepared to switch over your Grafana pages at liftoff. FSO flight on countdown. Please be prepared to issue option command at T+162, calling out at event.
Roger, 162.
And we're coming down to T-minus 3 minutes, 10 seconds, finally, until launch here of Astra 3.
Again, we are 3.
If you're just joining us, take a moment, engage that like, subscribe button, really helps us out. Over 1,000 people watching. Let's get a few more likes in here. T-minus 3 minutes until liftoff, hopefully, of this Astra 3. Carrying a payload simulator for the U.S. Space Force, hopefully up to for a first ever successful orbital test flight of Astra 3.
Source. Tango, please turn off igniter heaters.
Igniter heaters coming off. Good current response.
Igniter heaters are turned off there. T-minus 2 minutes, 30 seconds As always, here at the launch pad at that 2-minute mark, if you've been with us for a
you are
while.
Good to send master enable and watchdog on AFTU.
You know what to do at 2 minutes, but let's see a go, no go in the chat from our crew here.
Minutes.
Master enable and watchdog sent and received on both AFTs.
T-minus 2 minutes
Copy.
and counting, and we want to thank NASA Spaceflight and Astra Space Inc. for this footage here today.
T-minus 145, all systems nominal at this time.
Seconds.
T-minus 90 seconds. Gonna move that bar so you can see the velocity.
Live telemetry on the bottom right of your screen.
Start PSD recordings.
Lots of goes, a few blow-ups. Let's see how it goes.
Downrange recording.
Also done.
Weather sounds nominal.
Seconds.
T-minus 60 seconds. Here we go. T-minus 50 seconds. Come on, Astra. 5th time's the charm.
First stage LOX tank pressurizing.
T-minus 40
First
seconds.
Stage fuel tank pressing.
T-minus 30. Come on. T-minus 20. Here we go.
15.
13, 12,
Water
11,
on.
10,
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
Water's on. Ignition. Come on.
First motion.
Liftoff. There we go. Come on.
Vehicle is clear to tower.
LV0007 has cleared the pad and is on its way to space. Our next objective is Max Q. On the left side of your screen, you'll see the progress of the vehicle through our mission milestones, and you can see velocity and altitude.
LV0007 ascending through some clouds over Kodiak, now looking at onboard views from the rocket.
Which aren't going to show us much because it's the middle of the night and they're launching over the ocean. But
the vehicle's just passed 50 meters per second, 3 kilometers in altitude.
Vehicle's tracking downrange.
Come on.
And the vehicle's just started pitching downrange.
Five kilometers in altitude.
T+1 minute. The vehicle is now through maximum aerodynamic pressure, the point of maximum aerodynamic stress on the vehicle. Next up is main engine cutoff, or MECO, at just about T+2 minutes and 30 seconds.
We're halfway to MECO. Halfway to first stage burnout.
Vehicle now over 300 meters per second at an altitude of 12 kilometers.
Oh, no drift. We don't want to drift.
And everything appears to be nominal at this time.
1 minute from main engine cutoff and separation.
Vehicle's on track downrange.
We're confirming that the vehicle is on track downrange and all systems appear nominal, nearly at the end of our first stage flight.
Currently 25 kilometers in altitude.
Through the thinner parts of the atmosphere, you can see the engine plume expanding. That's a gorgeous shot from that onboard camera.
I mean, like, it's a good shot. I mean, at least we can see it. It's definitely giving me NASA vibes of, like, 720p, though. For those with the helmet in the bottom right corner, sorry, that's a default YouTube thing.
Cut off just about 20 seconds from now.
We don't have a choice of that being there, unfortunately. I'll read out the altitudes as we go, though. Coming up 50 kilometers now in altitude. 2,000, coming up at 2,000 meters a second, passing that. And we should have Miko here coming up.
Option set.
Confirmed. Option as received.
And we've just heard the call out for main engine cutoff.
There's stage
there we
set.
Have fairing separation and a successful stage separation.
Look at those gorgeous onboard views.
And that
we have ignition of the upper stage ether engine.
There we go.
T plus 3 minutes, 22 seconds and counting. The upper stage now taking control of the flight. Teams are here in Alameda very excited, and rightfully so. 3.5 minutes in the flight, everything on track so far.
Going 4,000.
Again, this burn lasts just over 5 minutes. We would expect second engine cutoff at T plus 8 minutes and 30 seconds. And this second stage's job is to get the payload and itself all the way up to orbital velocity.
we're looking for the altitude of 500 kilometers for this mission.
We're at 200 kilometers.
200 kilometers already into space, but of course you got to get that extra velocity and altitude to stay in orbit. That's the big ticket.
Currently going 4,250
but again,
meters
everything nominal
per
at this
second.
time.
Come on.
Looking at our mission control team, still holding on to the controls, and here we have the crew of folks at Astra who very happy with the outcome of today's flight so far, and we are still holding on for that second engine cutoff.
We got about 4 more minutes into flight. Nearly 280 kilometers in altitude, going for 500. Coming up 4,500 meters a second. 5 minutes into flight. This is the highest they've ever gone and the fastest they've ever gone.
300 kilometers in altitude, 4.5 kilometers per second of speed.
Their most successful, or maybe not the fastest. Their closest was they were 500 meters short.
Well at this point to Thibault LaSalle
orbit.
for our graphics this evening. We are very happy to see our mission progressing with the graphics that we have, and continuing to watch that beautiful sight of the first stage, or excuse me, the upper stage ether engine taking us to orbit.
350
see that actually
kilometers
engine
in
bell glowing
altitude.
from the heat of the rocket operating, and of course the little bit of plume in the night sky south of Kodiak. Again, this mission going to an 86-degree inclination, so a nearly polar orbit, flying pretty much straight south from Kodiak.
$380 kilometers.
T plus 6 minutes, about 2.5
meters a
minutes left in
second.
this upper stage burn, and everything on track so far.
So we've got a little bit over 2 minutes remaining in this upper stage flight. We're just at 400 kilometers.
100 kilometers short of that goal.
We're now less than 100 kilometers for our target orbit.
90 seconds left in second stage. 420 kilometers, going 5,400 meters a second.
Vehicle now traveling 5.5 kilometers every second and an altitude of 434 kilometers. Again, that live telemetry is in the bottom right hand of your screen. And on the left, you're seeing the different milestones. We're into second stage flight at T plus 7 minutes, about 1.5 minutes left to go. Again, there's no deployed payload on board the upper stage, so as long as this second stage burn completes successfully, there will be a simulated deployment signal, and then that's it. The main objective is to reach orbit, and we're just over a minute away from that happening.
6,000 meters a second, 466 kilometers in altitude.
7 minutes 30 seconds, all on track.
Less than a minute left in the burn.
A big shout out to the teams here in Alameda watching closely.
480 kilometers. Come on.
Engine pressure still looking good.
8 minutes into flight, 485 kilometers, 15 short of their
8
target.
minutes into flight, all systems nominal. Second stage burn coming to a close here shortly.
490. 491. 7,000 meters a second, or 7 kilometers a second. 495 kilometers in altitude. Should see burnout here any second. 496 kilometers. 497 kilometers. 3 more. There's engine burnout.
And there you have it, orbital insertion, second engine cutoff, and Astra's LV0007 has successfully reached orbit. There is a new orbital rocket. And there is the view of the simulated payload, the mass simulator up top. Mission success. Just a 9-minute trip to orbit, and Astra is in orbit.
And I can speak for the team. Everyone is hugging and cheering here. We are absolutely bursting with pride at LV0007, lucky number 7. This represents a huge, huge step in our mission to improve life on Earth from space.
Not normally what you'd see with mission control, just all jumping up and leaving their stations, but
Astra's
but
fourth
an
orbital
exciting
launch attempt,
moment.
LV0007, the first one to achieve orbit, a successful test flight and demonstration, paving the way for future customer missions. Very exciting to see here. Absolutely gorgeous views all the way. And a very happy team here in Alameda. I'm sure a very happy team up in Kodiak as well. There is your flight path right down the middle.
I want to say to everyone who's joined us, thank you so much for sticking with us. And again,
LV,
to confirm, we have
great job,
accomplished our main
congrats.
objective for today. LV0007 has reached orbit with its test payload. I'm so proud of our incredible milestone for Astra and all of our partners, a major step forward in our mission. And we will continue to provide innovative, low-cost, and nimble launch capabilities riding on this evening's success.
From the NASA spaceflight team, this is Thomas Burkhardt, News Director. I just want to say a big thank you to Astra for trusting NASA spaceflight with this broadcast, being able to see firsthand the first successful orbital launch of a new company's rocket is just something incredible. It's incredible to be here with the teams just from our perspective. This is just so cool to experience, and a huge congratulations, Carolina, to you and the entire Astra team on this accomplishment. It is no small feat. And of course, the iterative path to orbit, it took, you learned a whole lot on the way there. But this has just been so cool to watch. Thank you so much for partnering with us to do this.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Let's go celebrate.
All right, everyone, thank you so much for watching. This has been super cool. Again, Astra has successfully reached orbit with LV0007. And we are going to stick around for just a couple seconds here. I believe we're going to have a quick visitor here. Mr. Chris Kemp, hop on comms with us really quick.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
It's going well. Of course, Chris Kemp, CEO of Astra. Chris, congratulations to you and the team. How are you feeling right now?
Absolutely incredible. The team's worked so hard on this for so many years, and this just really seeing iteration after iteration, failure after failure lead to success. Everyone is just incredibly passionate about Corks are flying. Yeah, I mean, it's an incredibly hard thing to do. Continuing to do it is incredibly hard. We have rocket serial number 8, 9, 10 in production, so we're just getting started.
Absolutely. Chris, thank you so much for allowing us to be involved in this, and best of luck going forward, and go celebrate.
Indeed. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Again, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Carolina, Chris, the entire Astra team, the entire NASA spaceflight team, and most of all, everyone watching at home, thanks for tuning in. Big thank you to Astra and partnering with us to help make this broadcast happen. Couldn't have done it without you. And NASA Spaceflight and Astra, looking forward to future Astra launches. Stay tuned for future spaceflight coverage on NASA Spaceflight. With this mission success, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up and sign off for tonight. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
And just like that, Astra is in orbit. Know a bunch of people signing off, so take a moment, engage that subscribe button so you never miss another live launch coverage here on the launch pad. Going to stick around a couple moments, answer some last questions. But if you're new and you want to hang out more and continue the conversation, we're going to be jumping over onto the Launchpad Discord. We'll put the link there in the description and the chat there as well. We'll be hanging out there for a while talking about that, playing some Kerbal, I'm sure, as well. Also, one last moment as you're wrapping up, take a moment, check out the Etsy shop, where you can help support what we do while picking up something for the holidays or for Starbase coverage. We've also got our James Webb stuff in there as well. But thank you guys for being here. Congratulations to Astra. I have to say, that was one of the coolest things to see their CEO quickly jump on comms. That shows, like, obviously it's a small company, but the fact that he thought to take that time for, 60 seconds while they're celebrating to come jump on stream, talk to the people that have watched. I think that's a really great thing, similar to what we've seen Peter Beck do, where he's at least talked on Twitter or done something. It's always great seeing their CEOs really being involved and not just sitting kind of in an office off in the distance and we don't know where they are. So, but Astra reaches orbit for the first time. Took 4 launch attempts. This was their 5th vehicle. And as they said, they've got Astra's 8, 9, and 10 already in development, so a very exciting future for them, hopefully to see more Astra launches in the near future, probably in early next year. Denny, thank you so much for that donation there. Thank you for supporting what we do with that €4.99. I appreciate you. Thank you. But thank you guys for hanging out and joining with us. I know we got people all over the world joining us. We're glad to have you all here. If you have any last questions, you can send those into the chat. Otherwise, we're going to wrap up for the evening. Again, I want to say a big thank you to NASA Spaceflight and Astra Space Inc. for the footage this evening. If you haven't yet, make sure you go subscribe to them. Let's be honest, you've all subscribed to them already, but go follow them. Make sure you give their video a view and a like as well. It's great. Giving you a breakdown of the upcoming launches you can expect right here on the launch pad. We do know we have the DART launch of the Falcon 9 from Vandenberg coming up in just 4 days from now, pretty much at this exact same time. Just a day later, we have the launch of a Soyuz carrying a new Russian module to the International Space Station. We have another couple Soyuz later in the month as well, and into December. We've got multiple Electrons on the schedule as well, multiple other Falcon 9s. We've got a Launcher 1 mission and an Atlas 5. And we have, of course, the Ariane 5 mission carrying James Webb, targeting December 18th. So lots of exciting missions coming up that you can only get. And hope you'll join us here. Ted, thank you so much for that donation there, $5 Canadian. I watch enough, keep it going, and cheers. Thanks so much, Ted, appreciate it. But so glad to have you here. We did hear also while we were streaming that Booster 5 hasn't been fully stacked in the high bay. Starship, the next one, getting ready for its orbital flight test. Starship 21 in development for BS521, which will launch sometime in probably quarter 2 of 2022, as we expect BS420 to launch in quarter 1 of 2022, hopefully in January or February. But that, I think, is going to do it for us here this evening. Join the Discord. We'll be jumping over in the live comms. If you're new, we're so glad that you are here. To our new members, thank you for supporting us. And to our Patreon members as well, thank you for helping support us month to month on everything we do. But that's going to do it for us here tonight on the launch pad. Here at the launch pad, it's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow, and we believe space is better together. This is Zach with the launch pad signing off. We will see you guys in just a couple of days for a Falcon 9 launch of the DART mission. We'll see you soon.